Hey Chris, Chris Randall, Audio Damage. We found a really weird kind of art place.
It's the Kinder- und Jugendkeramik. I think that's the first time I've ever tried to say anything.
Could you maybe just begin by critiquing this piece of art?
Well,
do you
obviously,
think that's coral or some alien thing?
I believe that this is actually cactus.
Oh yeah, it's got a lizard on it.
And that's a lizard. I think that this is what someone that's never seen cactus thinks cactus is like. And that's totally fine. I mean, I do a lot of things I've never seen before. So, obviously, grades 1 through, I don't know.
So you almost speak German as well?
No, I almost speak.
So anyway, we're here. We found a quiet place at Superbooth for our kind of occasional Meet the Makers series, which I've been very lax on. And I've always wanted to talk to you because, in a way, we've actually been connected for much longer than you or I might imagine. I started out, this is obviously the freight area as well, but we can work around this.
That's it. As you can plainly see, that's a drummer.
Yeah. I started out with Rough Rider and Combinat.
With what? Oh,
Rough Rider and Combinat, which is way back. 16
years ago, yeah.
Is that where you started out? With
our first product was Mayhem, which was a package of 5 plugins, and we sold a few hundred of them out there. Adam and I met at Cycling 74. We were doing a mode package for Cycling 74, and he was working on Pluggo, and we met during that, and we thought that it would be smarter to make normal VSTs than a.
We're just going to roll.
Yeah, exactly. We're both laughing because we're like, oh, let's go downstairs. It'll be quiet. It'll be totally quiet.
Mind you, this is actually quieter anyway.
Oh yeah, this is way quieter than the show floor, as you'll see in a minute. And so he just dropped his guitar.
Oh no.
So we were working on a Pluggo product, and we thought it would be smarter. VST was fairly new, and it was just starting to gain traction. And us and Yuhi started about the same time. Waldorf had just put out a Deep Hole, and the Pro 52 or whatever. Remember that Prophet 5 plugin and that sort of thing. And plugins were just starting to be a commercial enterprise. So it was a bit of a risk for us, but we got in early, and so we've been around forever.
So is that your background then? Are you primarily kind of code or where?
No, when I started this, the fellow from Cycling 74, Darwin Gross, I believe you actually spoke to him. Darwin just got it in his head that since I was a musician, because I had a band before, that's what I did. That was my job, and since I was a musician, I'd know how to design plugins. I'd know what they should be like. And as it turns out, he was right. I'd never coded a line or used Photoshop or anything before I started doing this. And it just turns out I had a knack for it. Whether I'm, any good at it is someone else's thing to judge. I'm happy with what I make. So, and Adam seems to be happy with it. So,
so your input at the beginning, you're kind of, you were coming at it from an end user.
As a designer.
Look and feel, right.
Yeah, as a designer, here's how it should work for a musician. And actually, that was at that time was not a very common approach. Plugins tended to be fairly engineer-y, Yeah. And
there were sort of graphics kits, weren't they? Which you'd have a knob with 2-digit or 3-digit display underneath, and it would be bigger or smaller. Yeah. But that would be kind of it.
Yeah, and you see your frequency, and I just wanted to say more, instead of XY saturation point, just say dirt. That kind of stuff is where my head is at. And, after, obviously, I've been at it for 20 years now, so I'm an expert in it by any measure about plugins, and now I can code. Some of the more recent plugins I've made, entirely myself while Adam was working on something bigger. And we code the UIs and everything.
So what was the first? When you you say you started out, you were working at with Sonicstate 74. So the first things that you did was the Mayhem bundle. Yeah. I mean, did that kind of just surprise you with the take up, or was the market?
No, not at all. It actually, we didn't have any idea how plugins sold. There was nobody to talk to.
There's no mechanism to sell them.
Yeah, exactly. So we just. I owned a record label at the time, so we approached it the same way we approach records, with the same promotional structure, the same kind of stock and everything. That's what I knew how to sell was records and T-shirts. So we just sold the plugins the same way.
So were you selling like airboxes in stores?
Yeah,
kind of
not in stores, just direct. But we've actually never been at retail with our software. We have a deal with Splice, and we used to long ago have a deal with Cakewalk, but otherwise it's always been just direct.
So it's kind of indie label kind of guerrilla vibe.
Yeah, that was always my mentality. That's what I knew. I've been on indie labels my whole career. I owned an indie label. I knew how an indie label worked. That's the only business structure I've ever been in, so that's all I understood.
It's better. It's organic then, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, apart from when you have a massive hit and suddenly you've got to create 500,000 boxes. Then it's
well, we've never had that problem. So
who has, frankly?
I think it'd be a good problem to have, to be honest with you. But I emails about emails, meetings about meetings.
Yeah,
I got no time for
corporate
that.
I get that feeling. So you said you were in bands and a musician. What did you play?
I had a band called Sister Machine Gun. I was the lead singer, and in the studio I did most of the playing as well. So, and also, this is going way back. My first release was a techno track, one of the very first techno tracks in LA Style. James Brown is Dead. So
I think I know that.
Everybody knows that.
I know that.
It did 4 million copies.
So did that kind of set you up to be able to have a little bit more creative freedom?
No, I didn't make nothing of that.
Yeah, often the case, isn't it?
I got like $500 in a trip to Antwerp out of the deal. But
I recognise that story. Yeah.
But I had a fairly long and successful career as a musician before. This is actually my third career.
Okay.
After I did that, we owned a record label, and then I did lighting design for bands.
So you're used to life on the road.
Oh yeah, very much so. I spent about a third of my life in a tour bus. So
I mean, do you think that reflects in the way that you approach things like software? Because I mean, in that life, there's no time. In some ways, there's lots of time.
Yeah.
There's all that waiting around. But when there isn't time, it just has to work, and you've really got to. Things
exactly.
have to be everybody. Yeah.
It's just there's no like I said, we don't have a Gantt chart where it's like we'll work on the. It's just we work until it's ready, and then we put it out. So we can turn around very fast because of that structure. If something is easy to make, it'll take however long it takes, and then it's out. There's no promo. There's none of that. I don't actually. It's probably to our detriment, to be honest with you. But I don't actually ever, we don't send out a press release. I just email the people that get those emails and tell them, you need to know anything, just drop me a line. And it's actually works fine. I live a comfortable life. Adam does. We have a nice house and I have a swimming pool. So
hey, well, there we go.
I am in no way complaining. I'm not greedy, so I don't like some plugin guys. It's a business, and we have a boardroom and a table and shit.
And also, but the thing is, if you build a structure that requires feeding, then suddenly it's a different.
Exactly. Whereas ours, we can in 2014 we got in the mood to make Eurorack, and we did it for a few years to see if we liked manufacturing. It wasn't
am I right?
For us.
Didn't that start off with you kind of essentially putting your code into Eurorack stuff?
Yeah. We just decided to do Eurorack versions of our, because those little MCUs had got to the point where they could run our DSP, and I'm like, well, it can be a Eurorack module. Let's give it a try. Adam really wanted to do it. He loves modular synths. He's built a gigantic Hans Zimmer-esque 5U and was really into modular. Me, not so much. I don't really care where the sound comes from. The journey is not the destination. The destination is, for me, the thing, a good song. I don't care how I got it.
It's a very interesting thing, isn't it? Because so much about this industry, well, certainly the technology surrounding the industry is about the process, not about the result.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I want to hear a dope track, and then that's fine if that's your enjoyment at the end of the day. You get home from work and you want to unwind and make some noises. God love you. There's a lot of manufacturers that are happy to feed that. I kind of approach things in a different direction, and it works for me. But it's funny. It's funny. Someone asked me how, I can understand from an outsider's perspective, it looks like I do a lot. It looks like, oh, you got a record coming out and you're going to Germany and then there's all these products and whatnot. It's actually, I actually work fairly slow. I'm just super consistent and I don't dick around. You know, I'm not gonna spend 14 hours tuning the hi-hat just right. I'm gonna get a hi-hat track I like and print it next, you know.
So you still have time to create music?
Oh yeah. I break my day up. I subscribe to the 3/4s, which is 4 hours for absolute work, 4 hours for interfacing with my wife and my house and my life, and then 4 hours for entertaining myself. And so every day, no matter what, rain or shine, on vacation, I work 4 hours, whatever. And since I'm so consistent, I'm able to keep it rolling.
But what happens when you have one of those days where you just think,
it's no big deal. Man. I don't have to go into the office or anything. You know, I just sit on my couch and watch Netflix. I don't care.
That's a really interesting approach, because I mean, in a former life, I used to do a lot of remixing, and the first time round, it was like, oh my god, you know, it was work all the hours that God sent. The second time around, it was like, yeah, well, this will be fun. And we would sort of go, this isn't happening. Let's go home.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, you'll have to wait.
Yeah. If there's no hard time limit on it set by outside forces, then you can work at your comfortable pace and you're happy. You know, someone I was explaining to someone my job, and I was saying that I'm in this very strange position where I love my job. I look forward, like when I get up in the morning, I have my orange juice and I catch up on Twitter or whatever, and then I'm like, all right, what are we going to do today? I'm actually excited about opening up Xcode and coding user interfaces, you know, or working on some media or a song or whatever. And that's such a great place to be in at our age. You know, I'm 50, so to get to that point,
that sounds like the place. You know,
exactly.
Whatever it is, you got there.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it was, you know, I had a tough row with it sometimes, but on the whole, it's fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah. I like the idea of the 444.
Yeah, it works. I read it in. My mom was a super hippie, you know. And she always had a subscription to Mother Earth News. And there was this lady that wrote a column in there, and she's the one that said, it was about her, how did she have this gigantic garden? And she was like 90. And she's like, well, 4 hours a day I'm in the garden, 4 hours a day I'm writing letters. This is like in the 70s. And 4 hours a day I'm hanging out with my family. And I was like, and that stuck with me. I read it as a little kid. I was like probably 8. And it's just stuck with me my whole life, you know. It's always worked for me.
So, okay, we'll move forward. I mean, there's no secret now you've decided to ditch the Eurorack side of things. You know, you've done that, but you're back making spending more of those 4 hours or your time on the plugin.
Yes, exactly.
and how, you know, we've got, what stuff is exciting you? Where do you kind of get? Maybe we can walk a talk.
Yeah,
we're trying to end this up with looking at what you're working on, aren't we?
All right, so I've started this totem pole of Roman clay work.
Is that Adam and Eve? Looks kind of, yeah.
I don't know if it's Adam and Eve. We're in a former communist country.
Yeah, maybe
I think it's Lenin and Mrs. Lenin, actually.
Maybe so. So let's make our way to the lift then, shall we? You drive, because I won't be able to
you don't want to walk backwards?
I might end up falling down the lift shaft.
What I was just talking to the fella that, I've got it in my pocket. I couldn't remember the name of it. Sensel Morph. Yeah, it's a really cool thing. It's this.
They're overlays for a kind of a high resolution touch surface. Yeah.
Yes, and it can be whatever you want, and they give you a clear one so you can print stuff on it. I was actually thinking about getting one for visuals, but what it made me realize is that we're getting to a singularity where there's not really, like, you look at VCV rack on the computer, and you want me to press the button. And this kind of hardware control, or the Linstrument or the Raleigh Seaboard or whatnot, where you can get massively expressive input just from your fingers. And software, essentially, at this point, you can do anything you want with Melodyne and all that. You know, audio is your bitch. And like, we're getting to a really interesting place where it's like a pure... You're getting to music I'm starting to get fucking...
No, this is great.
Hippie shit, you know. But you're getting to where music is like a pure brain exercise, and it's not a function of your abilities. I don't know which...
We want to go to We're going to 3.
All right, well, we're going to 2 first.
Okay, well, this is going to be weird because we when we got in here, we thought, hey, this is really quiet.
I fucked it up. We could go out at 2 and go up the stairs.
We could. That might be more tricky because you'll have to walk backwards or I will.
You're right.
Let's just see what this what the door open brings, because this could be, it's like almost a sort of Superbooth tour at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
You're probably hearing. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
That's tip top always.
Let's shut the door.
Oh yeah.
We need to get out of here.
Go, 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 go. Tip top always has the big K-Rocks. Every event, nobody wants to be next to Tip Top because it's that all day.
Yeah, well,
you can't do anything.
There's always, it's noisy wherever we are.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, but that's one of the worst. Tip Top, Joe Mox, anyone that make kick drums.
So you've been at all 3 Superbooths, haven't you? Because I'm pretty sure we talked to you at Foothouse as well.
Yep, you sure did. Yeah, I've been there and then here last year and here again this year. I'm not sure if we'll come again next year because it's kind of getting to be something that we don't really want to. Like if we only have plugins, it's not the best.
Okay.
Not the best context for showing off our wares. You know, a YouTube video and me talking gently and whatnot. You know, just yelling over the next door Eurorack from WMD is kind of a tricky proposition.
Well, let's try a bit of that now, shall we?
Yeah, well, let's do it.
So what you're currently working on is what?
A granular synth. It's called Quanta. It's gonna be out in about 4 weeks. We tried to make a granular synth that was as easy to grab and play as any other synth, as something from Urs or whatever, where you can just grab it and adjust a couple knobs, drop a sample on there, and go to Grainville. You know, rather than like some of the more sophisticated granulars are, it's like a spreadsheet or something where you got a billion controls to get a goddamn sound out of it.
Yeah.
And so that was the goal. Watch it. Mind your gap.
Oh yeah, I've got
mind the gap. And like all of our current shit, it's iPad and desktop both. They're identical.
Yeah, because you're doing VST AU3, V3 for iOS.
V3, AU, AAX, VST. Let me push WMD out of the way. And it's a full MPE synth with Linstrument, Raleigh Seaboard, and Hawken Continuum, the sound plane, all of those work great with it.
So is this your work on the interface?
Oh, yes, it is.
It's very clean and pretty, I must say. I love that waveform.
Thank you. I read an article that coral and teal color scheme is called bisexual lighting.
Okay.
Because apparently every time there's a bisexual scene in a movie, they do it with coral and teal neon.
And is that a thing that's just sort of subconsciously happened?
I have no idea, but that's what they call it. So it's done in bisexual lighting.
Excellent. Inclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
Gender neutral.
Yeah, exactly. We're a gender neutral company here at Daddy Demis. And it's a pretty. Here, let me put up a patch that's a little easier to.
Yeah, we should. We didn't get time. We're not doing a line out or anything.
So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but we'll.
But it's not quite done. This is an alpha. We haven't even gotten to beta yet. But it's all iOS and desktop is all talking to each other. They're identical, basically. Pretty pleased with it.
And so I guess you get to plug it and say when it's coming out and all of those things.
Oh yeah. You'll get the normal.
Okay.
The normal Chris Randall promotional. Juggernaut.
Chris, thank you so much for talking to us. That was really
pleasure.
Great fun.
Oh, I don't need to shake your. Oh.
Yeah, it was like that.